good afternoon, everybody. This is Mental Health Talk with yours truly. I am Christina McIntyre. Before I get started, I want to give a shout out to my sponsor, Flawless Tires. You can find them at 1195 on Chester Pike in Eddystone. Make sure you go down and let them get your car right back on the road. This week's topic, I'm talking about mental health and panic and anxiety disorder. But before I do that, I want to let everyone know that I am throwing an event on March the 27th. It's a Saturday from 4 to 8 p.m. It's an event to collect items for the homeless. We're going to have some entertainment as well. John Carr will be singing. We have Shawnee, Christy, Ro, and myself. We're going to have food and drink vendor and some good conversation. We're also going to be having a raffle there as well. I still have a few spots left for the free gift that I will be giving out for the first 15 people. So if you're interested, inbox me. It's only $10. I have Cash App and I have PayPal as well. So this week I wanted to talk about panic and anxiety. It's a illness that I've been suffering for at least 15 years now. In the beginning, I had no idea what it was. It drove me crazy a little bit. Having these feelings, they make you feel like you're going to die most of the time when you're having one. And so it's important that we bring more awareness to it. Anxiety disorders is the number one ranked mental health illness in the United States. About 48 million people suffer from it each year. And so it's important that we are aware of it, the symptoms, what we can do to resolve it so that we don't have to suffer. And that is the goal, is to bring awareness to it so that people don't have to suffer in silence. And there is a difference between panic and anxiety. When you have panic, most of the time you're worrying about what's happening in the now. Anxiety is you're worrying about what's happening in the future. So we don't want to get those two confused. Panic is a subcategory of anxiety disorders, and I'm going to talk about the difference between those two. So a lot of times when we suffer from panic and anxiety, a lot of people also have co-occurring disorders as well. One can be depression. Also, a lot of people that deal with panic and anxiety suffer from substance abuse, which can be alcohol or drug related. Having some phobias as well. Social phobia. Social phobia is when you're afraid to be out amongst people, and also obsessive compulsive disorder, which is OCD. And I have panic and anxiety and OCD and depression. So when you have a lot of different illnesses going on at one time, it can seem overwhelming. That's why it's important to go get properly diagnosed. Therapy is really good. I used to do therapy for about a few years ago, until I ventured off into my own. Religion is good as well. Finding your own approach is good as well. I use a holistic approach of dealing with mental health issues, and I will discuss what I do in a few moments. So, here go a brief definition of what each one is. Anxiety is excessive worrying for a period of at least 6 months or more about future events. So let's say it's today and you're worrying about something that's happening a year from now. You don't even know how it's going to turn out. But the excess of worrying about it can cause a lot of issues internally. Here go some symptoms. You feel restless a lot. You have difficulty concentrating. You're very irritable. A lot of muscle tension. You can't control your feelings. And you have a lot of sleep problems. And this could be falling asleep or staying asleep. Panic disorder is a period of intense fear that can quickly come and go, and these can last for a few moments, or sometimes they can last for days on end. A lot of times when I'm having panic attacks, some days I can have many ones throughout the whole day. And here goes some symptoms: heart palpitations, sweating, trembling or shaking, sensations or shortness of breath, feelings of impending doom, and feelings of being out of control. And it's important to go to the doctor as well to make sure you don't have any underlying causes. A lot of times, panic can resemble diabetes. When I was going to therapy, my therapist urged me to go get a physical to make sure there weren't any underlying cause. Because when you do have diabetes and your sugar drops too low, you can start to shake, um, and you can have heart palpitations, and that is a symptom of panic attacks. And for me, when I first started having them, I still do shake. When I actually don't eat enough, my sugar does drop. I don't have diabetes. I did get checked out, but when my sugar drops, I start shaking. And so for me, I have to be on a strict routine. It can be tiresome because if I don't follow this routine, it throws everything off. And so the jitters and all of that stuff, especially if you do suffer from panic and anxiety, caffeine will not be your friend, right? So you might have to dial back on the amount of caffeine you consume because it can trigger your panic and anxiety. And the last time that I had a full cup of regular coffee, I was driving at night. It was raining, and it is that intense fear, right? I started sweating. My heart was beating out of control. I got afraid. I prayed that night that let me just get through this day. As soon as I ate, them symptoms lessened. But it was at that point that I realized that no, I can't consume caffeine anymore. Even though, some days you might get tired, you may need a boost of energy, you have to find a different way of dealing with that. And it can take time figuring out what works for you, because one thing that may work for me, it may not work for you. That's why it's important to join groups. Facebook has a lot of groups that you can join to talk about your panic and anxiety and see where other people are coming from. Go to your doctor, speak to your doctor as well, and then find a good therapist. And trying to find a therapist can be hard depending on um, what you're going about it. They have um, religion counseling, they have regular counseling, they have holistic counseling. So you find which one works for you. Um, Another subcategory of anxiety is phobias, right? A phobia is a very intense fear of specific situations or objects. And some example of these are flying, heights, spiders, dogs, snakes, receiving injections in blood. And so, if you have a phobia of these, it can feel like when you're in the presence of them, that you know you get really afraid, right? You may lash out. Um, you avoid certain situations, and then like agoraphobia is those that you're fear of, being around people in crowded places, and so going out can be challenging for you. I've watched shows where people hide themselves in their homes for years at a time because they're afraid of public, right? They don't use public transportation. They don't go into a lot of open spaces, and then they avoid crowds. But what these disorders can do is alienate you from becoming the person that you need to be, right? It creates anxiety, and panic creates fear. And so what we do with fear, right? If we feed into fear, we will prevent ourselves from moving forward. We're going to prevent ourselves from enjoying the life that we can. Um, Learning how to live with these disorders can help you build the life that you want. But first, you have to tackle the problem as it is. Um, it can be hereditary. A lot of mental illnesses have a hereditary effect. It can be environment. It could be a lot of different things. And so it's important to have conversations as well with your family to see what's going on. I know myself suffers from panic and anxiety. I have a sister that suffers as well, and a brother that suffers as well from it. And also other family members that have a lot of other mental illnesses as well. And a lot of people don't want to talk about that conversation, right? When you're talking about that you have panic anxiety, in the beginning, a lot of people, tell you, oh, it's nothing really wrong with you. I know I hid behind closed doors for a long time dealing with my panic and anxiety because I didn't want people to judge me or people to isolate me because I have this. And so it's important to be open and knowing that, okay, like if you're having one in the moment, you can remove yourself from whatever situations. For me, I'm learning how to get a control over it. In the beginning, it used to take me a while to get somewhere. I used to have them so severe that it would take sometimes 2 hours just for me to get out the house because I have to go through it, right? When you're going through it, you have to sit. So I found ways, learning how to deal with it in the moment, and learning how to meditate is one way of dealing with that. Some other resolutions they offer is therapy, right? They have cognitive behavior therapy, and that is teaching you different ways of thinking and behaving. Um, Also, medication. They have anti-anxiety medication, excuse me, antidepressant medications because with anxiety and the panic you also may have another mental health illness as well. Finding the right medication will help you get some balance and peace in your life, and you may have to try a few different things before you find something that works. But I encourage you to definitely find something that works for you so that you don't have to suffer. It is Life can seem like it's hell, right? Living with panic and anxiety. I deal with it almost every day, and some days it's better than others. Some days I feel great, and some days I have to push myself, and I gotta you're constantly having conversation with yourself, trying to make some sense out of what's going on and making sure you're in balance with yourself. Like on a bad day, I wake up with panic anxiety, right? So the first thing I have to do, I have to meditate. I have to breathe. I am a excessive worrier. I worry about everything from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed. I really have trouble sleeping, and so I am trying to adjust my life and find things that work best for me. And through for me, eating a balanced diet and exercising. I exercise about 6 to 7 days a week, and I meditate and I write and I do self reflections and I stay consistent with that, and so that some of these pains can be alleviated. Do I think there is a cure for panic anxiety? In my opinion, maybe, maybe not. Eventually, they'll find something, but until then, what if they don't? We have to find a way to learn how to live with it, and that's why it's important to get the help that you need so you can find a way to be happy and have it. And when you having a panic and anxiety, to attack it in the moment. A lot of times it's all about our breathing. When we having panic and anxiety, it takes away our breath, right? We have trouble breathing, and we have pains in our chest, and it can be scary. I have so many hospital bills where I used to go to the hospital every time my chest was hurt and I was having a panic anxiety, until eventually I had to come to grips in terms with the panic anxiety and not being afraid of in a moment, knowing that, okay, if I know these things are going to happen, how do I prevent it? And that is the thing. Sometimes you can't prevent it, but you can take a hold of it, right? So now I have to carry snacks with me, and now I have to get the sleep that I need, and I have to meditate every day, and sometimes throughout the whole day. I have to exercise especially my eating. When my eating is thrown off and I decide that I want to eat what I want, that's when my panic and anxiety increase. Like for me, having too much gluten products, or like um, over Friday, I decided that I want to have a couple of drinks, and so I did. And but that is a trigger for panic and anxiety. And who's responsible for that? Me. So you have to pay attention to what you're doing in your life, and some of the things that you're doing can be causing an increase in your panic and anxiety. So you have to ask yourself, are you willing to change what you're doing so that you can live a more productive, more smoother life, more peaceful life, a life that you don't have to worry so much. And writing also helps as well. taking your mind off of what's going on in your body. It can be scary, but you have to kind of channel your energy, right? So if you're the other day, I actually had a bad panic and anxiety when I was laying down, and I was sitting there, and all those thoughts going, "Oh, am I going to die? Is this it?" So I had to breathe. One, I meditated, and then I also decided to look at something funny. You have to take your focus off of what's going on in the moment. Yes, if you feel like it's really severe, you're really having bad chest pains, go to the hospital, get checked to give yourself some solution. Or also you can buy like a blood pressure monitor, right? Check yourself. So that you can prevent, a bill or prevent a unnecessary. A lot of times you sit in the hospital for a few hours and then wind up your everything is okay, and that's a lot what was happening to me a lot of times. Like I would go to the hospital, by the time I get there it starts subsiding, and then now I'm sitting here for 2 more hours waiting for them to tell me that everything is okay. Eventually, you'll learn how to deal with your panic and anxiety over time, but you have to know yourself, right? You have to know your boundaries for one. If you are in situations that's causing you panic and anxiety, you have to pull yourself out. A lot of times we worry about other people. We worry about what people think and what they feel, and allowing them to interrupt our life. And so it's important to maybe change your environment, right? Change the people you're hanging with. Um, I know for me, watching really intense movies causes me panic and anxiety. Do I still do it sometimes? Yes. I like crime shows. I like scary movies, but it doesn't help with my sleeping at night. So I have to kind of eliminate what I'm doing, what we see, what we listen to, how affects how we feel on the inside, especially when you're suffering from panic and anxiety. Certain things, and for me, like a lot of times certain things are still a trigger that I won't know until it's happening, and then I'm starting to have a panic attack. And also, if you have been in like an abusive relationship, like I have, certain things can still come about, like that will cause panic and anxiety. Like if somebody tries to touch you on not unwantedly, but just giving you a hug and stuff, it can cause you to retract back and live in that fear. And so definitely know yourself, know your limitations, know that you need help, and don't be afraid to ask for help as well. Let people know what's going on with you. People that really care about you will respect, you and your illness, right? And if you have people in your circle that can't understand, maybe you have to change the people that you're hanging around with. This is not something that we bring upon ourselves, right? A lot of times, again, I said it's hereditary. A lot of times things have happened. So it's important to surround yourself with people that's going to love you for who you are and where you are in the moment. And this doesn't last for always, right? Um, you definitely have to figure out a way that can help um, have your life the way that you want it to be. Um, I also, there's a difference between panic and anxiety, and I'm going to briefly talk about that. So the difference between panic and anxiety, um, panic is defined as a medical condition, and then so anxiety is defined as the disorder. Um, so panic attacks is unresolved unreality. They happen suddenly, right? Whereas anxiety happens over a period of time. Um, with panic, you have abdominal cramping, again, chest pain. You feel dizzy a lot of times, headaches, nausea, numbness, tingling sensation, shortness of breath, sweating. And so anxiety is just a few disorders. So in order to be categorized as having a panic attack, you have to fit those 13 criteria. I only briefly discussed some, but it's 13 criteria that you must be in order for it to be classified as a panic attack. And anxiety is only a few: difficulty concentrating, always worrying, muscle tensions, feeling irritable. So it's good that you could differentiate between the two, but they also are similar as well. And so it can drive you crazy trying to figure out what's going on. And so the excess worrying will cause more panic and anxiety. And then you find yourself just losing your mind. And that's how I feel sometimes. I feel like I'm about to lose it all. Sometimes I feel so overwhelmed. And that's why it's important to, live your life to the best that you can. Don't worry about other people. My goal for now is to live a life that is pleasing to me, that brings me happiness, and that's what you have to do. We worry about so much of how what people think and feel, and at the end of the day, it's us versus us, right? We have to love ourselves enough that we don't allow outside factors to affect how we feel on the inside. And that's where a lot of our panic and worrying comes from. Like, we're worrying so much about, what could happen instead of focusing on how can we bring our happiness right now to us? How can we have peace in this moment? Um, I offer a holistic healing as well. So I deal with the chakra system. If you've been following me, chakras are energies in our body, and so when they are a lot out of alignment, they can cause resemble real life illnesses, and also as well as mental health illnesses. And so it's important to find balance between those. When we have extreme anxiety and fear, our throat chakra and our root chakra was at the base of our spine can be out of alignment, and ways to heal these are for your roots is grounding. It's all about grounding the earth. Go out into nature. Meditation will help heal this chakra. Also your throat chakra, right? Your throat is responsible for communicating effectively and clearly. So being able to express yourself, speaking, writing, journaling, singing, anything that brings peace to you, and it'll help heal. Meditation is always good for everything. When our chakras are out of alignment, it can cause these chaotic things. And so for me, when I'm dealing with this, I ask myself questions like, why am I feeling this way? What can I do to prevent this? How can I go about that? What am I doing right now that's causing me to be out of an alignment? And a lot of times it's me, me being too hard on myself, me putting too much pressure on myself. A lot of times I think we just want to be these perfect people and not realizing the damage that we're doing on, putting on too much on our shoulders. So knowing who you are, writing out a plan, asking yourself your wants and your needs and desires, and going about doing that. Also, always put yourself first. A lot of people be like, oh no, you can't put your, yes, you have to put yourself first. You have to be great for you so you can be great for everyone else. If you're not balanced or in an alignment, how can you give your full self to everyone else, right? It's just going to create a lot of chaos inside. And so don't take on more than you can handle. A lot of us, we want to do this and that. But if you know yourself, right, especially if you're suffering from panic and anxiety, if you know that a large crowd can cause, intense fear, do things bit by bit. For me, I used to be afraid to go outside, to talk to people, right? Don't know where it came from. But slowly I build myself up to, push past those fears, because at the end of the day, I have mental illness, but I'm not going to let it control my life. And that's what mental health issues do. They control every aspect of your life. They prevent you from living the life that you want. And for me, I decided that I have to take my life back. This is what I want in my life, right? And this is how I got to go about it. How can I push past these fears in order to get to the place where I need to be? So I have to do everything step by step. And it's important not to rush yourself. Don't allow people to rush you, but definitely sometimes you got to give yourself a push, right? These illnesses are real, and don't take anything from that, but also don't allow them to control you to the point where you keep yourself isolated in your home, or you stop going hanging with your friends and your family, or stop going to places because you are afraid. Do bit by bit, but get yourself out there, because the world definitely needs each one of us as we are, right? We can tackle mental health illnesses if we have the tools to do so. Again, go to therapy, join some groups. I joined a lot of groups. I did therapy, found a holistic approach. I found something that works for me. So you find something that works for you, and whatever that is, and don't allow people to try to deter you from what you think works for you. Everything that is not going to work for everybody. Like, I know my approach won't work for a lot of people, but then you have therapy, and then you have, religion counseling, and then you have medication. It all depends on what you see in your life, what you want for your life, and how you want to go get that. I don't want anyone to suffer longer than they have to. So it's important that we have the tools, we have, you know, everything that we need in order for us to thrive. Don't allow this illness to prevent you from living, and it can keep you so stuck into where you are. But I'm telling you, it is a brighter side to all of that, right? I am living proof of that. Like, I do suffer a lot, right? I have depression, OCD, panic, and anxiety. But I decided that I'm not going to allow those to prevent me from where I need to be. The world needs each one of us as we are, and they won't be able to receive our gift if we allow our mental health illnesses to keep us locked in a our self prison. So let's break free from that, right? Let's figure out a way that we can live happily in the life that we have it now. Do those things that can help heal you so that you can move forward, right? Do things step by step, right? Little at a time. Don't Nothing is rushed, right? It's your journey for yourself. You don't have to prove anything to anyone but your own self. You got to get up every day and fight for yourself. We're fighting literally for our life each and every day, but you have to know that you are worth it and that you matter and that you deserve to live a fulfilling life. I want to thank everybody for tuning in this week. If you have any questions, you can always inbox me, Christina McIntyre, or excerpts from a rare diamond, powered by BYC on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram, Become Your C. I also have a website that talks about chakra healing, chakra living. It's www.becomeyourc.com. Don't forget to download the Live 365 app. You can listen online or on your phone. Search cmpradio.net. Sundays 12 p.m., Wednesdays and Fridays at 2 p.m. Also, don't forget, I have my event coming up on Saturday, March the 27th from 4 until 8. I'm collecting items from the homeless, so if you're interested, tickets are only $10. And also, I have a few spots left for the free gift that I'm giving out for the first 15 people. And definitely come out. It's going to be a nice time. We're going to have Christy, Shawnee, John Carro, myself. We will be doing poetry and speaking and singing. We're having a food and drink vendor. It's going to be a good time. And definitely, it's important to get back into your community. Find something in your community that gives you peace and happiness, and go for it, right? We receive more blessings when we give out those, and don't be afraid to share your gift with the world. If you are suffering and you are thinking about suicide, I'm going to give you the suicide hotline. It's 1-800-273-8255. You don't have to suffer alone. It's people out there that's willing to help you. Don't allow your mental illness to prevent you from living the life that you need. Again, thank each and every one of you. Remember, fall in love with yourself so the world can fall in love with you. Till next time.